Yo, what is up guys, welcome to a new video. I want to thank you for the support in the previous tutorial on how to layer leads. If you didn't watch that video, go right now. You gave a lot of likes on that video and you asked me a lot about new videos on that kind of tutorials about how to layer things. The one that got more requests was how to layer chords. You asked me on the comments on that previous tutorial, on Instagram, on Facebook, even some people send me some mails and it's crazy. So I decided to do it. And I want to say that I like a lot this kind of videos on how to layer things. It's something that I would love to watch when I was starting making music. So if you want more kind of this tutorial, just give some likes and leave on the comments what kind of how to layer videos do you want. Like for example, how to layer risers for the build up, or how to layer some downlifters or things like that. Layering chords is not that different like layering leads or layering basslines. I also have a tutorial about how to layer your basslines and get some fat basslines on the channel, so you can watch it too if you want. And it's just getting some synth and putting one on top of the other, giving some space for all the synth, and just that, you know, it's not that crazy. The thing here is that, at least in progressive house and in my opinion, chords are not that important, you know. The main important things are the leads and the bass line. So the thing is that the chords are just there to cover in some gaps that the chords and the leads are creating, you know, and making it sound a lot fuller. So I want to make in this tutorial also give you some tips on how to mix those chords with the leads and the bass line, so you get really good chords. So the first thing is the type of chords. There are two types of chords. You can follow the bass line or you can follow the leads. Okay, for example, here I have the leads of my remix of Like I Do, and these ones are following the bass line. Okay, are sustaining notes all the time. Here, this is something that the bassline do to give some rhythm. But for example, imagine that we have a melody like this. Okay, so following the leads would be something like making this kind of chords. So that's the difference on these two types of chords. And in my opinion, at least for progressive house, the ones that follows the bassline are the better, because they cover more space, you know, and makes the track sound fuller, because they are sounding more often, you know, all the time are sounding. So in this case, I just have two sounds for the chords. The first one is this one. This one has a really good mid low end, you know, but it needs some highs. So I decided to put another one, that is this one. That is like the opposite, you know, it has good highs but it needs some more mids. So I decided to choose those two sounds because they complement each other, you know. If we look at the spectrum, more or less, a way that you can understand this is that the first one is like stronger from this point to this point, but it is lacking some info here, and the second one has a lot of info in this area, like for example in this place, more or less, but it needs some more info in this part. So if we put both, we will have a chorus that covers from here to here, because this area is just for the sub and we don't want some info of the chorus there. So this is how they sound without EQing on or mixing. They sound good now. That's the thing that you need to have in mind. You need to have at least a decent sound at the beginning of the mix sound. Okay, don't have two sounds that sound horrible together and try to make it sound good. Start from a good point. So the first one, about the EQ, it's just some low cut to give space for the sub. It's increasing on the mids and it's reducing on the highs with this knob and with this high cut. And the second one, the higher chord, is bringing some highs to the mix and is reducing here. And as you can see, if we put one EQ on top of the other, it's like on the leads. And what it's doing is exactly the opposite, you know. On the lower chord, we are increasing at this area at 1000 hertz. So in the higher chord, we are reducing on that place to give more space to the first one, you know. Because increasing in this area on the first one is gonna give more info to more power on the 1000 hertz on the lower chord. but if we also reduce on the other one, it's gonna give even more power to the first one, okay, and more space. And here on the 8000 hertz we are reducing, so in the second one, in the higher chord, we are increasing, okay, so we are giving some space for each sound. And then this is just for to give more space for the bass line. I think I also like to do is talking about the stereo field, is that the lower chord is more mono than the higher chord. So this is why I have increased it here to give it more to the center, and this one is more to the sides. If we go to the bass, I have an EQ to clean up a bit more the sound, you know. I reduce it here a bit to take out some of the muddiness, and this area is what I said in the previous tutorial. Around 2000 to 5000 hertz is a really dangerous area, you know. You cannot have a lot of power there because you're gonna have a bad quality sound. So I decided to reduce a bit, and before of this EQ and after. It sounds a bit thinner, you know, but cleaner at the same time. Then OTT, I always say on all my tutorials, I have a tutorial about this plugin, and is awesome, you know. Without OTT, with OTT, it's giving a lot more power and putting the chords in your face. Then this EQ, Fab Filter EQ, and this MSED is to mix it with the leads and the bass, so I will talk about this later. And just some imager to make it just a little bit wider, because I thought it was needed. Then some limiting to limit the sound, and some kickstart, okay? As I'm following the bass line in this case, I have the same kickstart as the same sidechain as the bassline, okay? As you can see, it's the same preset with the same mix. But for example, if we look on the sidechain of the leads, it's the same preset but not the same mix, okay? So if I would follow the leads, I would have the same mix of the leads, or a bit tighter, you know, more mix, just to give a bit more space for the leads. About this gross beat here is something I like to use sometimes to give more rhythm to the chords, you know, to make them sound faster, is to add this gate effect to make it like a rolling chords without it, with this effect, okay, but this is to the max. So sometimes I just put it like this, or I put it just on the higher chords, and on the lower chords I don't have it. So it gives more energy to the chords, and it's really useful. And about this too, on the Fab Filter, what I do is try to mix it with the layer with the leads and the bassline. So starting from the highs, I reduce here a bit to give more space for the leads, because as you can see on the key of the leads, what I do is increase on the highs, you know, these areas. So what I do here is reduce a bit to give more space to that. And on this area also is for the leads. As you can see here on the leads, what I do is increase on the 1000 hertz to give more power there. So as the leads are stronger in that area, I decided to reduce a bit on the chords, like this, to give more space. And then these two knobs here are just to give more space to both, you know, because here the bassline is stronger, but there are also some info about the leads, so I decided to cut a bit. Without this, with this, and then with this plugin, what I like to do is to reduce a bit on the mid and increase a bit to the sides, you know. It's like making it wider but not the same, you know. What I think this plugin does exactly is to reduce the info on the mids, you know. So it's not making it sound wider, you know. It's not opening the sound. What it's doing is just reduce the info on the center but not touching the sides, you know. The effect is that it seems it's making it wider, but it really isn't, because the sides are not being touched. In this case they are, because I increase a bit on the sides, but when you reduce on the mix, the sides are not being touched. So this is really good to give more space on the stereo field to the leads and the bassline, because especially the bassline is more on the center. So if you reduce a bit there on the chords, what you give is more space to the bassline, so it has more like place to be played, you know. And as you can see, it's super simple. You don't have to get like 5 chord sounds to get a nice chords, you know. They are not really important. You're not gonna even hear them sometimes in some tracks, and there are some progressive house tracks that don't have chords, you know. So don't be too crazy with it. Just try to cover space and make it sound like covering the gaps and nothing else. Don't get too crazy or try to make them sound super loud or things like that. They're gonna be super quiet in the mix and giving space to the other things, because it's not the important thing. It's like when you're adding white noise to the track. It's not the important thing, you know. It's just gonna be there to cover space. So the chords are like that and nothing else, guys. If you like this video, just leave a like, leave me in the comments some tips to make the chords sound better. If you have different tips, leave me also in the comments what kind of tutorial do you want about how to layer things, as I said, like risers, downlifters, how to layer kicks, claps, percussions, all these things, and I will make a tutorial about it. So nothing else, guys. See you in the next video.